All right, I want to talk to you about a super important topic, and that is this: why most dads keep starting over. And this is really where it all kind of boils down to. Most of us have started over, and it could be in other areas other than fitness, but I'm going to directly talk about fitness and nutrition and really in this topic how it pertains to why we always are starting over. And most dads don't fail because they're lazy. And that's really what I want to get across to you is that we're going to talk some about identity and another topic and some in here, but it's not because you're a lazy dad, all right? Most dads fail because they keep restarting. And you think, well, restarting is a positive thing, it's a good thing, it feels like it's productive. But what's happening is that once you get moving, then you quit or fall off. You feel like you think, oh, I'm just lazy, or oh, I don't have the character, or I don't have the discipline, or I'm not able to do this. And those are the lies that you're telling yourself. And what I want you to get across to yourself is that it's not because you're lazy. Really, this idea of restarting and thinking that, well, if I'll get the momentum and that will happen, and I'll be motivated in this start strong and then fall off cycle that you keep experiencing over and over again. There's this motivation spike that happens where you're like, I feel driven. But we've talked about before, and we'll talk about throughout this dad tough idea that motivation is a feeling, and feelings come and go. Feelings go, they're high and they're low. And so we don't trust our feelings. We don't trust the emotions. What we do trust is discipline. We trust character, and we trust the fortitude, the dad toughness, if I can say it that way. We get this motivation spike, so we clean up our diet, get rid of the bad foods, and then we train real hard. And then life gets busy, we miss a workout, and then we're like, oh, well, I'll restart on Monday. And then Monday comes and we have busyness, we don't feel like it, or we're tired from a long weekend. And so we say, I'll just push it off. And then eventually it becomes, I'm going to start January 1 next year. And so I'm going to challenge that whole thought process and this starting strong and then falling off. Here's what the real problem is. It's not a discipline problem. It's a structure problem. You're not a lazy dad. You're not a lazy man because you fell off. It's not because you're not a disciplined person. It's a structure problem. When you have systems in place, things work like they're supposed to. The trains all run on time when there's a system, when things have been put into place, when you have a schedule. You complete those things that get planned or that you put on the calendar, right? When it's on the calendar, then it's locked in. But when it's not on the calendar and it's kind of a loose schedule, then we just kind of do whatever we feel like or whatever happens. And that is not a dad tough mindset. Letting life happen to you is not a dad tough mindset. It's not the mindset that anyone should have, certainly not a man or a leader. That you affect life. Don't let life affect you. You be intentional and don't just coast through life. So this is the real problem. It's not that you're not disciplined. It's not that you don't have the character or the ability. It's really that you don't have any structures and systems in place. And without structure, that momentum we just talked about dies. The momentum, the emotional aspect of you being fit begins to go away. Motivation is the wrong foundation for this whole thing. To get that momentum, it's not going to be based on motivation. Motivation fades when life gets stressful. And how many can raise your hand and say, yes, that's me. Motivation goes away when things get stressful. You're like, I just want to give up. We don't get motivated when things get stressed in most cases. If your system only works when you feel good, it won't survive real life, because how many of us have not felt good, right? I don't feel like doing it. So your system can't be something that is based on your emotion. It has to be based on systems and structures that move forward even when things aren't going well. The train keeps running on the tracks even when it's raining, even when there's snow, when there's bad weather. We move forward Even when there's difficult circumstances, the train keeps running on time. So here's another issue that we face is that we think that it has to be perfect. We want to check all the boxes. And like most men, we kind of compartmentalize everything. We want to check off all those boxes that we did all these things. But perfection is sabotaging you. Your efforts are for naught because you want it to be perfect. A missed workout, hear me, does not equal failure. Just because you missed a workout doesn't mean you failed. Okay? In all transparency, here I am working with men, trying to help men become fit and eat their nutrition. And my life got busy last week and I missed 3 days of my workouts. 3 days. And so I could think like, well, man, I can't get back on track. And the truth is that missing a workout doesn't mean that you're a failure. Okay, that means that you are a human being. All right, it means that you are a busy man. And so missing a workout doesn't mean that you failed. Getting off plan for a meal doesn't mean that you have to restart all over again. All right, I have had meals that I'm off plan, things that were out of my control, or things that were in my control that I gave myself a splurge. But being off plan for a meal or two doesn't mean you have to restart. Okay, progress requires continuity, not perfection. I'll give you an example. In a week's time, if you're in a calorie deficit, if let's say the standard man is burning, let's say 2,000 calories in a day, if you want to lose 1 pound a week, then 1 pound is the equivalent to 3,500 calories. That means that you must be in a deficit of 500 calories per 7-day week. That equals 3,500 calories. So you can lose 1 pound by 3,500 calories at deficit in a week's time. Now, looking at that as a week long, let's say in 1 week you ate 2,000 calories or 1 day you ate 2,000 calories, but then on the other days you kind of stayed on your plan, and sometimes you kind of went under, other days you were over. When you look at the average over the 7 days, that is where fat loss takes place. It happens over a 7-day period. So you can measure it in 7 days, not just in that moment or that maybe you call it a bad meal, that meal that was off your plan. It's over a 7-day period. So kind of look at it from a 7-day period and understand that it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, everyone's body works differently and responds differently. You just need to stay focused on what the end goal is. When I'm raising my kids, I'm not trying to raise them to be teenagers, right? I'm trying to raise them to be adults. I'm looking down the road. I'm not angry about the teenager mistakes. I'm trying to train them to become adults. And in your fitness, look down the road a ways and see, where am I trying to go? Is this one meal or this missed workout going to ruin that whole process? I'm going to have to start all over. The answer is no. Perfection is sabotaging your goals. All right, random effort doesn't work. Random workouts, random diets, random intensity, you go strong and then you fall off. Okay, we don't do that. That is not the dad tough mentality. And certainly what we're trying to do is build sustainability. Most programs that you might try to do, they fail because maybe one, you're trying to do it on your own and you don't have any accountability, and you need that. All of us need that accountability or we're going to fail. It's the rare person that is able to sustain long-term effort without some kind of accountability. Okay, even rules, just having rules in place or laws in place keeps us, even in those weak moments, we have to obey the law. That's a motivator, but it's not random, okay? Random intensity is going to fade. It's going to wear off. You want to make sure you have something that is sustainable. Set a sustainable movement. Maybe you say, my workout every day is going to be 30 minutes. That is reasonable. That's reasonable. Add 30 minutes into your day. Maybe you have to get up 30 minutes earlier, or you go to bed 30 minutes later, or maybe there's somewhere in there where you're watching a sitcom that you can work out instead. But 30 minutes. Or maybe you say I can fit 45 minutes to an hour by driving to the gym, doing my workout, and driving back. Whatever that looks like, make it intentional, make it a set time to start and a set time to end. No phases, no progression, and no accountability. That is why random effort doesn't work. When you don't have a phased approach to it, we look at it like this. You have a foundations phase that we look at and try to work through that foundations phase for 4 months. And then I move my clients into the transformation phase, and that's really where we see 4 months builds momentum. That structure inside of the foundation, it builds momentum, and that momentum that's created pushes you into the transformation phase. That's where the transformation happens. I mean, results can happen within the 2, 3, 4 month phase, 4 month progress. But it's that second phase of 4 months that 4 months really see the momentum. And momentum creates belief. It's really results, right? When you see the results that are taking place in your body, then you start to move forward. You're like, okay, I see it now. My pictures when I started, day 1 looks like this, but day 60 looks like this, and day 90 looks like this. And I'm starting to see at day 160, like I've seen growth. And that's half of a year, less than half of a year, and you've already seen incredible results. Imagine if you had started at the beginning of the year, and now let's say we're into the third month of the year. We've gotten January, February, and March, and 90 days have passed. Can you imagine in 90 days the results you would have seen? Not in 3 years, but just in 3 months the results you'd have seen if you just had started. All right. So the transformation phase leads into a lifestyle phase, and the lifestyle phase is when we get to that final 4 months of the year where this becomes a sustainable way of living, not a diet, not a workout, not a program. It's life. It's the way that we live. Identity is the shift. You got to stop thinking I'm trying to get in shape, and you got to start thinking I'm a disciplined man. Okay? Make your I am statement. My wife challenged me yesterday. Create an I am statement for yourself, and like make that be your mantra. I love having a wife who is diligent, who's able to help me and to grow as a man and as a husband, as a father. But identity eliminates the restarts. All right? You're going to stop restarting when you start believing I am a disciplined man. Take that as your mantra. You say, well, I'm not a disciplined man. Start putting that as your mantra. Put it on a mirror. Put it on your dashboard in your car. I'm a disciplined man. Or whatever your I am statement is. Who are you? And start growing what I heard as a teenager and stuck with me all my life. Be who you are becoming. Be who you are. Be now who you want to be in the future. Who are you? And maybe you are into the future, right? But many men, maybe you're in your 30s, but maybe you're 60. All right, you're a dad and you are 60, and you're saying, I'm at this stage. All right, be who you are becoming still. Look at the future of who you're going to be. Maybe it's going into grandparent years. Who are you? Who are you going to be? But as a young man, look into the future and say, who do I want to be? What is the type of person and man, husband, dad, employee, leader that I want to be? Be that now. Don't wait until some magical day. I promise you, at 45 years of age, that there's still the idea of thinking, like I'm going to become, like some magic is going to happen. I'm going to finally become, or I'm going to finally strike it rich, or I'm going to finally be this. Always looking ahead and like wondering what if. How about start living like that person today? So identity eliminates the restarts. Here's how to break the cycle, and this is what we're looking at here as we wind down. Pick a sustainable plan. All right, within this program, there's the encyclopedia of splits. And those workout splits, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, hybrid, or in the gym or at home, whatever it is, pick a sustainable plan. Train consistently. It doesn't have to be intense workout. It needs to be consistent workout. It doesn't have to be hard and rigorous. If you will just promise yourself, if you're just getting started and maybe going to the gym is not for you, but you don't have workout equipment at home, you can take a walk and schedule that time. So I'm going to walk for 2 miles. You're going to walk down the street and walk back. You're going to spend, in 2 miles, you're going to spend 18 to 19 minutes doing that at a regular pace. All right, I just walked 2 miles with my wife today, and we walked down the street and back 2 miles. It took us about almost 19 minutes, a casual walk. It is great for your heart rate. It's good cardio and just getting that motion and movement. But start somewhere and be consistent with it. Don't let it be hit or miss. Focus on protein. Most Americans, most of the world, doesn't eat nearly enough protein. For me and what I'm doing, I am 5'8". I weigh 165 pounds, and I train 5 days a week weightlifting, and I am trying to consume 180 grams of protein. Now that's quite a bit compared to what I used to eat in protein before I began lifting weights. And so you needed to start tracking what that amount of protein that you need to be eating, and you can reach out to me, and I'd be glad to help you figure out what that needs to be. But focus on protein and get the protein that you need every day. Post in here, post your sweaty selfie. That's some accountability that says, I went to the gym, I did what I'm supposed to do. Post a sweaty selfie here in Dad Tough. And then adjust instead of quitting. This is probably the most important thing. Just adjust. All right? Driving down the road, you don't hold your hands on the steering wheel like this while you're driving, right? You're doing this the whole time. You're making slight corrections the entire time as you're driving. That is what you do in life. You have to pivot. You have to make slight corrections all the time. Instead of quitting, instead of just driving straight in a curvy road off the ditch, make some adjustments. Dodge and weave, turn, all right? And do that with life. Do that with your fitness. So you didn't get to go, or so you ran out of time, or maybe you had to eat something quick and you didn't get to stay on plan. Just make that little bit of correction and start again and adjust instead of quitting and falling off completely. Last thing I'll tell you, you don't need a reset. You need continuity. All right, you need a plan. Something to sustain you that you can look at. You can check off the boxes. I did this. This is my system. This is how I roll. I'm not just going to fly by the seat of my pants anymore. It's going to be intentional. Stay in motion, raise your standard, and stop starting over. Best to you. If you need me, reach out.